Josh had a rant saved up, so I want to hear this rant.
So let's in that aspect is
Go on.
you
Go.
I don't know. I mean, what was it? What's the word I'm looking for here?
What was going on? I'm just looking at the meter the entire time, seeing the number 2 mic going up and up and up.
Oh, really?
You breathing into the mic. Come on.
Oh, gosh.
Well,
I was starting to laugh.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. Go ahead and laugh. I think even Josh laughs at himself now with that one.
I think we've used that one before.
Yes, we have. I didn't have a chance to make a new one this week. So
I mean, he literally mentioned that in the beginning that we're using an old intro.
yeah, right.
I blacked the old part out.
Well, because I even said it's the Josh Ranch intro, and you were all, yes.
Yeah,
I thought
you
that was another
reacted
one.
to it.
No.
Oh, okay.
I can only make so many. I just keep adding on to the original one I have with all your other rants. That's how it goes.
Boom.
Anyway,
Hello.
welcome back to another week of Use Your Words. I am Paul. We have a slightly different sing arrangement this time.
We switched it up.
Yeah, I know. Finally, right? So now you don't have to hear that to my left is Josh. Although if I do turn my back to the table, then Josh is still to my left. So it's all relativistic, I guess. You know, depending on which way you're saying I'm facing and which way you're saying I'm not facing.
He's trying to figure this out.
So for right now,
Oh, my goodness.
in the literal sense, Josh is to my right, Aaron's to my left. How's it going, guys?
Yeah, hello, I'm fine.
Aaron's.
Aaron's what?
Aaron, what am I?
Did you say Aaron was to your right?
I said Aaron's
Left.
to my left, Josh is to my right.
Oh my gosh, my ears are not working today.
Oh, okay.
This will be a good one.
This will be, I hope your ears are ready the rest of the day then.
Me too.
Got
Me
all the
too.
wax cleaned out, ready to go, ready to listen?
I actually don't have wax in my ears. I've always amazed the doctors when I was a kid. Nothing.
New fact about Josh. He never has had wax in his ears.
Head wax.
I mean, everybody's got some wax, but,
You just said you don't.
well, some. Not like.
Anywho, let's continue on here because Josh and Aaron are both locked in a staring contest for whatever reason. Today is going to be a little bit more serious of a topic. And when I say a little bit more serious, I mean, we're taking on an order of magnitude from talking about music. That's a happy-go-lucky 1 or 2 maybe. To today, a nice little, hey, we're going to go straight over to the 8, 9, 10s.
8, 9, 10s.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10 of
That's
how seriousness.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I'm not ready. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
your notes say otherwise, sir. So, the topic of the day, which I've kept secret up until now from the people listening, obviously not you two, since you need to prepare for this. How should Christians interact and treat the LGBTQIA plus community?
I don't even know what they all stand for.
Lesbian,
Well,
gay,
okay, I mean, yeah.
bisexual.
Transgender.
Q is either queer or question, depending on who you ask.
Okay.
T, transgendered. I, intersex. A, asexual.
What's intersex?
I'd have to look it up again.
I don't know what that one is.
But yeah. So there's
Does the plus just stand for etc.?
yeah,
'Cause
like
they can't-
there's a wide variety in that.
Okay.
If you pull up the first link that I inserted into my links,
Oh.
it's actually a glossary of terms from ucdavis.edu. And they have all this other stuff in there. So any of these terminologies that I'm referring to are all defined kind of in there.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So they define intersex for you. So they say intersex, it's an adjective used to describe the experience of naturally, that is, without medical intervention, developing primary or secondary sex characteristics that do not fit neatly into society's definitions of male or female. It is an umbrella term, and there are around 20 variations of intersex that are included in this umbrella term per ucdavis.edu.
Interesting.
So,
Okay. All right. Now I know, I guess.
Yeah, so that's what that means. So
Good to know.
so this will be an interesting conversation, I hope. Now, the one thing I do want to say is we're not going to, at least today, we're not going to today debate.
today.
We're not going to today debate, discuss, examine, are people born gay, are people, any of those things, what's the origins of it? Is it nature versus nurture? For today, let's look at society. There are people who identify as gay in that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to take as the starting point.
Fair enough.
We're not going to be, was this a trauma? Was this genetic? Is this what? That is a whole other set of conversations. And I didn't plan for this to be like a 20-parter.
Why not? Let's get her done now. Just kidding. No, I'm not ready.
I think you might want to do a little more research on that first.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I have a question to pose to both. A question.
Okay,
a question to pose to both of you.
Question.
A question, yes. So since we're today talking about how Christians should respond, how we should act, and I know the number one answer is going to be love them, okay? I want to get beyond that answer.
How do you get beyond that?
We're going to make an assumption here. Okay?
Am I the subject?
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not.
No? All right.
I'm going to give you a hypothetical, and I want to hear how each of you respond.
Josh, you go first. Cool.
Okay?
Why am I always going first? Is it so you can better your answer off of my answer? Is that what it is?
Beauty before age. Yeah.
This is not Beauty and the Beta, guys.
Okay.
Anyways, question.
Here's, and again, I say this is a very hypothetical situation. Okay? You know who I am. You know me as on the worship team with you guys as a youth leader, blah, 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 blah. What if I came out and said just now, guys, I'm gay, but I'm going to stay single? What is A, your initial responses, and B, should I continue being involved in those ministries?
Now you're kicked out. I'm totally kidding. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Do I still have to go first, or do you?
No, you can go.
I was saying you started it. You
I
can
mean,
go
fine.
first.
Yeah,
I can go first though. But you can go first too.
Take it away, Josh.
Just through society and how the church addresses topics, I would be a little shocked. I'd be a little surprised, but it's not going to be like I'm going to sit there and go, I can't believe you did that. You hurt my feelings, or there's a trust issue. First thing I would say is, have you? Dang, I'm going the wrong way with it.
Do you want me to go while you can think, or do you want to just keep trying to go?
This is going to be editing for him right now. I was starting to go.
No, we're
towards,
keeping this.
and by the way, I'm going to give my answer if one of you two did the same thing afterwards.
Okay.
But I'm waiting for you two to go first.
So I would be surprised.
Okay.
Because seeing how you are, seeing how you act with Aaron and I, and nothing would really cue any thoughts that you might have any desires in the same sex.
Okay, I'm going to interject here.
Okay.
What if, and I'm saying this not as a hypothetical, I'm saying this part as reality. There are thousands of people in churches, not in the churches, who are fighting that fight in their own life. There are people who they think that to fight that, they should get married. So they get married to a woman to try to suppress that part of them.
That makes sense.
Again, we're not going to be talking about nurture versus nature, all that stuff. But, I'm saying this is a reality that we have now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If someone out there does that, where they get married, you could say the same thing about them. You'd be like, there's no indication. Because you don't know what's going on in their mind and their heart.
Correct.
So that I just wanted to throw that out there as well. There's multiple. It's not just how a person interacts or acts, because sometimes people are acting it in a way to try to maybe force a change of their own mind, but obviously that's not always going to work. But go on.
And no, that makes perfect sense. And I agree with you on that, because not everybody knows what goes on in someone's private life, what the struggles they're dealing with. And by surprise, it's just, I've known you for a long time. So if you came out and said that, I'd be like, oh, okay. But it's not gonna sit there and change my thought. Oh, you're less of a human for saying that. Or there's suddenly a wall that I have to put up. I would still treat you as I've always treated you. But
okay, so that's our interpersonal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and now if it's somebody that I don't know that well,
like, what if me and you just met a month ago, and we've only known each other a month?
I have worked with people that are homosexual. I've gone to school with people who are homosexual, and I've had other friends through the church. One in particular, you all know.
Yep.
And so it's almost becoming a norm to where it's just okay. That's what you choose to do. That makes sense to you. So I'm not going to sit there, especially if I'm a believer. I'm not going to sit there and force anything on them. I'm going to sit there and still be the person I've been before. I mean, how I see it is, if you knew the person before you knew something about them, why should you treat them any different? Regardless, Christian, non-Christian. I mean, you knew them a certain way. Now, granted, people do things differently in the dark and then they do in the light, in front of people. But if you know somebody a certain way and you hang out with them a lot or know them really well, chances are that what they're doing in the dark is not really who they are. And maybe it is sometimes. But you can't let that define how you treat someone. So I wouldn't let it define how I treat you.
Okay, so interpersonal we kind of covered here. Now, me and you are youth group leaders. We work with our teens. What would you say about that portion? Or, and this is to get Aaron's juices flowing a little bit, because I'm on the worship team with him as well. How is that impacted then? What do you say to that? Again, you've known me for a while. I come here and I sit here and go, this.
In a Christian view, and in the structure of a church, it's going to be looking at how you're handling it. If it's something you're fully embracing and something that you're not hiding a sense of, where you're boasting about it and you are laying with another man, that is when I would say, okay, Paul, you need to get your heart straight, or we're taking you off. And if anything, I might say we should take you off of any sort of staffing positions.
Volunteer,
period. Yeah. Now, if it was something to where you're like, guys, I've noticed this thing, and I know the Bible says it's wrong. It's an abomination. But what do I do? How do I get out of it? That is where it shows to me that your heart has identified a temptation that has been put before you, and you are trying to resist the act of it, which is the sin. So that is where I would be more inclined to allow you to stay where you are, especially since you are trying to make the steps towards fighting the struggle.
Okay, let me ask this, so I'm clarifying this. A, for myself, B, for Aaron, C, for people listening. When you say fighting this, are you talking about fighting that temptation of being attracted to a person of the same gender, or are you saying fighting where you don't continue sleeping with other people of the same gender or people in general, or are you saying fighting of something else?
Well, when you say fighting that is the
so let me give you an ABC scenario here, a little sub scenarios. Okay, I know Aaron's like, oh my goodness,
brain hurting yet?
No.
So okay, still the main scenario. I come out to you, okay, but I say, but I know that I shouldn't sleep with other guys, but I'm still attracted to other guys. What do you say in that? Should I stay on working with the youth group in worship teams, or no?
I'm trying to remember this phrase because I read it. It's not in my notes. It just popped into my head. Oh no.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody is different. Everybody's unique, right?
Right.
How I see it, we're all given different temptations. We're all given different interests, right? And an interest might not be wrong. Okay. You thinking Aaron is a very good-looking guy, That's not wrong. I can look at Aaron and say he's a good-looking guy, okay? But it's
Okay, stop lying.
but it's where it goes into, because you have the temptation,
Right.
which tries to get you to commit the action.
Right.
And everybody's going to have temptations.
Right.
It's of trying to not do the action, which is the sin of it. So if I'm looking at Aaron, and let's say I was gay, I was looking at Aaron. Okay, that's you don't do that now.
You don't lick your lips like that when he says
When I'm looking at you.
Anyway,
So if I'm looking at Aaron and I admit that he's a good-looking guy, that's fine. But if I'm looking at him and I'm trying to think what else he might look like underneath his clothes,
okay.
or in other words, what I would do,
Yeah.
then that is crossing the line into the sin, because that is there's more lust involved, and that is what I would say you would want to fight.
Okay.
Now, at the same time, you do want to fight, you want to eliminate temptation, but you can't always eliminate temptation. It is something that is, I would say, unique to one person.
So back to my question. With
So-
that scenario, would I, if you were in charge of staffing, would I
Yes.
still be able to work with the youth group?
As long as you were not laying with another man and you were trying to make it so that you were not, but in period, that you were trying to honor the Lord by, not just physically, but with your thoughts as well, too.
So when you say try not to, you're saying try to.
Put the barriers in place, make it so that you...
Are you saying not be tempted by other people of the same gender, or
It's...
and I'm asking
Good
questions.
You're asking good questions.
This is why I did 4.5 pages of research.
I know. Gosh.
Like I said, the temptation can always be there.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily. It's what do you do to set up so you don't go past temptation?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so that's what I'm getting at there is, putting up the barriers or eliminating the things completely out of your life that might allow you to cross from temptation to sin.
Okay.
Because there's nothing stopping me from seeing a girl, is seeing Amy and going, they're both very beautiful, but it's something else that crosses what?
Name.
Oh, name.
I mean, you can always ask her if she cares or not.
Yeah,
if
that's
she
true.
doesn't care.
It's not, I can recognize two beautiful women, but it's another thing to allow my thoughts to go somewhere else than just acknowledging the outside, as Aaron is.
Laughing about something, but okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So I don't need to present B and C then, because I think I know. Well, yeah. So if I was a youth leader, you're in charge of staffing. I come out to you and tell you, and hey, here's Aaron, my boyfriend.
So is this B and C?
Yeah. So B is
No, that would be.
B is this is Aaron, my boyfriend, and we're engaged to be married.
What? I don't
So-
see a ring on this finger yet.
I can't afford one. You do.
Okay.
That would be a thing where it's like, all right, guys, are you serious? Or are you just
You're yanking my chain.
But if you were serious,
Yeah.
that's when you would have. Yeah, that's when you would sit down and be like, okay, you guys are acknowledging you're Christians. You have been with the church for a long time, and that's when I would I would take you guys through the whole rundown and make sure you guys understand what's going on. And if you guys didn't acknowledge that what was going on was wrong, that's when I would say, all right, I'm going to have to relieve you, because then it's a heart thing. If your heart is for your own desires over what the Lord's desires are, then your heart is not for the Lord.
All right.
Well said.
I think that's probably the.
So now is it on to me?
It's on to you. So
All right.
what's your response to all this fun?
Oh wow, I was starting to do it again. Anywho, just I guess going back to I remember our mutual friend who came out to us.
Yeah.
It's when I was having coffee with him, and he was talking to me, and like, what was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh, he just like threw it in there that like he was gay, and I was just like, at first I thought he was just like saying that as an example, but then as he said it again and again, I was like, oh, okay. So then, I mean, I guess being in that position, it didn't bother me, but then I guess it comes down to the point of, well, okay, what are you going to decide to do, I guess, from this point on? And then, I mean, he's done his stuff, his research from, I guess, what he's come across. I don't remember anything of where he lies on stuff, but
Right.
I mean, going off of what Josh said, I mean, if it's the Bible says, it's marriages between a man and a woman. So I don't know, but would I treat him differently? No, I'd still, treat him as I always did, and I did after he told me that. Like it wasn't awkward for me at all to get used to him. I get used to him. That sounds really bad.
Yeah, that does sound bad.
That sounds really bad. Getting used to knowing that he is homosexual, like that wasn't hard for me to be like, oh, okay, because what's his sin? How is his different from the sin that I have issues with? I mean, sin is sin,
right?
So to me, it doesn't make that kind of deal. So I mean, if you say, yeah,
back to the hypothetical situation, I come out to you,
yeah. So for being, gosh, I mean, a lot of it's kind of just what Josh already said. Why did I do that? Okay. Probably didn't even get picked up. Anywho, for being on the worship team, I mean, it'd be the same thing. It's where, okay, I mean, the whole temptation part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have temptations.
Right.
So I'm still on the worship team. Hopefully that's okay. I don't know. Shoot, maybe penalty his bit. Aaron, you're off. You're done. But, well, no, I was laughing when Josh was starting to bring up the whole thing of, if a girl walked in, I was thinking if a long, cool woman in a black dress came in, I was like, yee.
Of course you did. Of course.
But, I mean, no, I mean, if you are still, if your heart is still after God and you're following him, I don't see any issue with that at all, because, I mean, your sin is the same equal thing as what I would struggle with. So there's really no reason why you would be limited on what you can or cannot do. So, but then, I mean, when you talk about being a youth leader, and I guess, yeah, maybe there's a youth leader that's a dude in there that's you got the hots for or whatever. That's where you'd have to maybe.
Wow.
I guess
okay.
depending, if that temptation comes there, but then as Josh said, depending on where you go from having with that temptation, where you let that bring you is a big factor. And okay, let's say you do something wrong. It's like, okay, maybe there's some sort of like little like, hey, maybe you just need to take a break, go over your, work on, your relationship with God and just, I guess what would be right or wrong in this situation, and bring it back. You come back as a leader again. I don't know. I feel like it's
I'm hearing that just continue on.
Okay. But I mean, well, for like me, when I dropped out of music for helping out with worship because I wanted to do more my stuff. I wanted to do things I wanted to do. I wanted to go out and have fun, not worry about, I guess, any sort of consequences. And I mean, with like drinking and stuff like that. My heart was not, my heart was not on God during that time. And to be someone that is supposed to lead people in worship or, bring people to Christ and teach them about him. But when my heart's not there after, like desiring him, I should not be in that position to teach others when I'm not striving for it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I would step down, get away for a while. And after I feel like I'm in a place where I can go back, then talk about it, see if you're allowed to go back. Well, I mean, talk about it with pastor, whoever, whatever.
Whoever's that you need to at the church.
Yeah. And then be like, hey, so can I go back on or what? Then if you can, you're cool. Then you just go back at it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lot of just what he said. Second time through. Yeah.
But I would also bounce off that when you were mentioning how you had coffee with a mutual friend.
Mm-hmm.
Back before he went off to college, before he had, confessed that he felt like he had a struggle that he's been hiding for years, he was my accountability partner.
Uh-huh.
So that kind of threw me for a little loop, but the loop wasn't, like I said before, it's not like there's a loss of trust, there's this and that. He definitely did, and this is going off what I said before about, people and how they act. You can kind of see, he definitely did have a slight feminine flair to his personality.
I guess I never.
You never noticed that?
I mean, the only thing I knew about him was all the girls would make comments on how nicely he dressed. And that was, more of a, I don't know, girly thing.
But all the girls make comment about how nice Brewer's hair is, so.
That's news to me.
What?
In high school, yes.
Okay.
But recently.
Anyway.
Anyways, but so for a few years, he was my accountability partner. And it definitely makes sense when you say, somebody growing up having this thing and not wanting to identify it as a struggle, they keep hushing it down into the corner and covering it up and trying to put things in place to distract them from that thing. So, as you were saying before, Paul, so I've actually had that experience with somebody who was like that, and it was in college that he finally came to the point and said, I've had this desire for so long.
Mm-hmm.
There's something different about me than the rest of the guys that I know. So that makes total sense. But at the same time, one thing that the church does have a struggle with is sexuality in a whole.
Yeah, I agree.
They don't. It's almost like something to where, and almost like the way that they present it in my mind and how I see it, being, fellowship, grace, listening to other podcasts and stuff like that. It's almost like the church when it comes to somebody struggling with sexuality, if it's hetero or homo. It's one of those, okay, we gotta like it's an emergency. Like they either don't talk about it at all on Sundays, and when they find out about it within the church, it's like an emergency. Like we gotta get this, taken care of now, And I mean, it's one of those. Okay. Yes. It's not accepted, and it's always hushed down, And how the church sees it is if you come out and you've struggled with pornography or had an affair or admit that you're homosexual, it's like, whoa.
Well, let's be fair though. Let's be honest in this discussion. Someone who comes out and says that they struggle with pornography or they've had an affair, traditionally, and I'm being honest here, have been treated way better than people in the past who have come out and said that they're gay.
True.
I was trying to find, stories like that, but I couldn't come across any. I don't know where I went wrong with looking, but because I've always hear about that, but it's like I don't really ever see anything.
In recent years, it's gotten better across the board.
Okay.
But in recent years, it's not perfect, yes. But for the most part, it's, so-and-so struggles with porn. Okay, they could continue being a pastor. So-and-so's gay.
Oh.
They're excommunicated from the church.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe.
And this is where I'm going with the next is we were created to be sexual beings.
Yeah.
We were. Okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Right? The only time it's wrong is when it goes the wrong direction, no matter if it's homo or if it's hetero. Okay? They both have their wrong spots, and they both are temptations for different people. Okay? So for the church, the fact that God created us being very, sexual creatures, the fact that they really don't bring it up at all, and likewise, they don't provide good outlets for people, it creates this
friction,
and not as a friction, but it creates this gap. Now, like you said, the gap is closing in more and more and more, but there's still a big gap to where it's like people don't want to jump to the other side to help out because the gap is so big. There's not like a bridge to allow people to cross through to be able to find the help they need.
Right.
So, I mean, and what was it? I was listening to a podcast on a pastor who had struggled with, pornography. This isn't, homosexual, but he had a wife and kids, and he had struggled through it for 17 years. And it's not like a daily struggle, but it was an every few months struggle. And he said his issue is as a pastor, it's like, if you struggle with anything, it's almost like, all right, you need to step down.
Right.
He says the biggest struggle is I am just like anybody else in that congregation. I have a higher responsibility to make sure that I'm doing what is right, which is true because I am leading. But he says, I'm just like everybody else. And it's really hard for pastors specifically to find help because they're supposed to be that picture perfect, a servant of God.
Yeah, it's all too often we hold, especially pastors in that, on a pedestal, and they make one little error. But,
And then people just go up in arms.
Yeah. But I think what you're talking to, let's say that same person, that we know, okay, that came out to you, this guy that was your accountability partner, okay? Let's say instead of saying that, he came out and said, I struggle with porn. All of a sudden, our brain immediately jumps to a whole different conversation. Even our immediate responses are different in how we react to it. We immediately treat one, even subconsciously, different than the other.
And I would have to say that is a fault of the church, and I agree. Because, so a family member that I'm close to, I was acknowledging the fact that I had some friends that were gay and stuff, and they were like, what? They go to church? I'm like,
Wow.
I'm just sitting there kind of confused because whenever I would bring it up, if I have a coworker that was gay or if I had a friend at church that was gay or someone from school, they would always be like on the defensive as if like that person was like contagious. And it's like, why are you acting like this? There's no reason to act like this. I mean, what's the difference? Because like you said, someone who struggles with pornography, okay? The porn industry generates billions of dollars every year.
Yeah.
And all it takes is somebody to get caught with pornography and their career is over. Yet all of America publicizes sexuality in all places. But when it comes to someone who is saying they're, homosexual, it's like even worse than that. It's just like you're saying, there's this different, they're the same thing pretty much. Same struggle, just pointed at a different type of,
A different gender.
yeah, that's the only difference. Why should they be treated any different? And that's what I agree. And so when I was talking to this person in my family, I'm like, there is no difference.
Right.
So why do you have this difference of opinion? Why do you have this difference of action? And that is just a sign of the church and its inability to help people understand the position of sin.
All right. So with that being said, Aaron, I have a question for you.
What?
So let's remove the previous hypothetical. Previous hypothetical is gone.
Gone.
I'm back to being straight.
So, dude.
No, I'm gay.
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Okay.
So Paul usually uses me in the hypotheticals, so that's why I always
Well,
jump
no.
in, guys.
Yeah.
We did have a
Yeah.
quote unquote history, apparently. So
You guys can get into that if you want.
Careful what you say. We'll save that for the next episode.
Okay.
or a,
I'll
just
hold,
a different.
I'll hold you to that on the next one, Josh.
Way to
Okay,
go.
all right.
Way to go.
Anywho,
Question.
my question then. Okay, so in light of this conversation, okay,
Mm-hmm.
the hypothetical, I'm back to being straight.
Yes.
Okay. Well, not hypothetical. I'm back to being straight. Erase the hypothetical.
Which one was it now?
Okay. So now we're going with a new hypothetical.
Okay.
New hypothetical.
Okay.
I'm still on the worship team, still leader, youth group leader, and all that, right?
Yeah.
But you catch me in a series of lies
Mm.
and find out through however you find out. Don't care about how you find out. Okay.
Mm.
You find out I'm sleeping around with like 5 different women.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Good game. Aaron. As some people would say.
Wow. Okay. That wasn't the response I was expecting.
No, it's not the actual response.
What would you do in that regard as
Ooh.
far as continuing to be a leader or not be a leader on those various platforms?
So I'm either taking you on or leaving you. I'm leaving you on or taking you off.
You're in charge of staffing, okay?
Yeah.
I am currently serving on your worship team and as a youth leader.
Yep.
You find out about this and you are able to verify it,
Yeah.
and you know beyond a shadow of a doubt it's 100% true.
Adios.
All right.
No, yeah, I guess again going back to what I said earlier. Take you off for a while, see how you're doing later on, and if you
Go on.
move that kind of stuff, out of your life, or you're bettering yourself of it,
Okay.
then I'd be like, hey, we can talk about having you back on and coming back up and doing this stuff. I mean, because I don't know why it is for me, but like, again, I guess it goes on how I find out about you.
Uh-huh.
Because like if I've asked you about stuff and you're like, nah, I'm good. Yeah. And then I find out that none of that just irks me like no other.
Okay.
That I don't know why that stuff just like gets under my skin, but it does.
It just does, doesn't it?
Guys,
Okay.
Yes.
you're a very honest guy. Like,
Yeah.
you like it when people are honest with you. Like,
I do.
like if you guys want to score brownie points with Aaron, you just be honest with him. Like, he automatically just is like, oh, I like you even more now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So no, I mean, yeah, I would be like, sorry, but gotta take you off, especially if you're not looking at, like, well, it would be correcting, well, not correcting. Changing your ways,
Okay.
getting away from all that nastiness.
Nastiness. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Josh, I'm removing that hypothetical. I'm changing the hypothetical on you.
Wait, the one that you just gave me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he's not gay?
No.
Yes.
No. New
Wait, why
hypothetical.
did you agree? All right, go for it. Let's see.
A completely new hypothetical here. Again, this is just, I'm trying to get some nuances here of this conversation.
Uh-huh.
And
I like this.
okay. The next hypothetical. Me and you are talking.
Uh-huh.
Let's say we're at a coffee shop. Anywhere. Doesn't matter. We could be drinking coffee, we could be having a beer, whatever. And I look you in the eye. There's no gayness involved, by the way.
Oh.
And I go, Josh, I regularly binge on 15 hours of porn. Go. Same scenario of you're in charge of staffing of youth group leaders and
Binge on 15 hours of porn
Dirty guy.
a day.
I have no job apparently. 15 hours was the first number that came to my head for some reason.
Wow. That's a lot.
That is a chunk of time.
Okay, let's not go 15 because I don't know where 15 came from. Let's go 2 to 3 a day.
Okay. Same.
It would honestly be the same thing.
Okay, I'm not worried about the surprise portion.
No, not the surprise
Okay.
portion. No, I'm just saying how to go about it would be the same thing.
That what you said earlier, or what I just said, or what we basically all just repeated.
So
What I said last week from what I said 2 months. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, so it'd be the same thing. Where's your heart? Now, I am much more.
I think we know where my heart is at that point.
Well, yes. Again, it's the first question is going to be where is your heart?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do more? Do you want to serve yourself or do you want to serve the Lord? I mean, that's going to be the first.
And if I go, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Then that's when I would go, okay. Now, granted, I'm not in a staffing position. I don't know how to properly go about it. But
I'm not asking you to go the proper way. I'm saying, what would you do?
At that point, I would say, well, there is something wrong with it. You are claiming to be a Christian, and it is wrong in the eyes of the Lord. And therefore, since you do not see that it is wrong and you have no desire to change, I will be taking you off. But here's where I'm different. In both the homo and the hetero, no matter what the temptation is,
Okay.
if you were to come to me and acknowledge your struggle and say, I need help, I am more apt to allow you to stay on because I know that in your heart,
Yeah.
you want it to be different.
Mm.
And if I find out on the side, I'm more likely to say, all right, you're getting a break. Because the whole thing with the fellowshipping part is to be a stronger Christian, you have to confess to each other. You got to bear the weight on each other's shoulders, and that's how we become stronger. So that's where I'm not going to say, no, you have to get off. I'm going to say, okay, maybe not play Sundays, but you can still practice with us. You can still be around us. You can still be involved with us.
Interesting.
If you tell me. Now, if you don't tell me and I find out, that's when I say, okay, we're going to have to, because I know where your heart is at that point when you tell me. Now, you could tell me, like you just said, and say, I see nothing wrong with it. But again, it's kind of where the heart is. I mean, let me guess, you're about to say, well, what if I lied to where my heart was?
No. I got another scenario. Go on.
Uh-oh.
But no, that's how I see it. And the one thing, I don't know what verse this is, but treat one as you wish to be treated. I know if I confess something, I wouldn't want to be still apart. I would acknowledge that I would not deserve to be completely involved because I am struggling with something. But I know that by me confessing, I allow the chance for someone else to confess. And by allowing someone else to confess, they could possibly allow someone else. And so it could turn into this nice roll that starts going down the hill to where everybody's shoulders. It's more of a community thing, is how I see it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I was just confused about letting him practice still and not play. That threw me, I guess, off.
The idea is
To keep them involved with it, but then they're not.
they're not
Which
in
makes
the
sense.
leading position.
I guess I'm more on the other person's side. Like, why would I go to practice if I can't even play?
But see, at that
That's-
point, it's not, the purpose is not,
No.
it's to still be involved, still be connected, still be in fellowship with other Christians. We just are letting you step down from a leadership position for a little bit just to really identify where you are and where you want to be.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And that going forward goes with pretty much any struggle.
Okay.
I mean, now if I sit there and go, so Aaron, we've noticed you've been struggling with video games. You put a lot of hours. You really commit to them. Do you think you might be struggling with idolatry? Same thing with that too. Same thing with that. And yet, our reactions for idolatry is going to be a lot less than it would be with a sexual struggle. Because we're going to be like, it's just an object. It's not another being. But I would have the same response in that situation too.
Yeah, I think
That's good.
I think in the church we have done that where we say sin is sin, but
we don't act out that.
we don't act that out exactly. We categorize certain things as
Which
it's almost like a hierarchy. If you think about it, same sex relations is like this high, like crazy thing you don't do, but below that, it's like, the people are sleeping around or watching porn. And then below that, it's like idolatry. Below that, it's people who don't. Yeah.
And
to a point, I almost feel like some of the sins can damage the person more than others can.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I can see why they're taken more seriously in other ways.
And just as a human nature, we tend to do that, period, with things.
Regardless.
Yeah,
I mean, why do we have different, sentencing times for, consequences for criminals that do certain things?
And I was gonna say, going off, just naturally, I believe that structure is just come from a level of what we declare being important, and not necessarily just what we find being more damaging or less. Because committing, idolatry can almost have, if not have more of a damage done on a marriage as an affair would, because you are placing your interest and focus on the wrong things. So I think society and the church over time has molded in, because period, Jesus died on the cross. His blood was shed. Okay. He was the perfect lamb. He was the perfect human. Okay. So no matter what sin it is all at least equaled one drop of his blood, his pure blood. So with that being said, it's just something I think that is just molded over time through the church and society, where this is what we see as being bad, and it's something that we need to break and make it all on the same playing field.
Okay. All right. I still have a next question. Either one of you can go first here.
All right.
And this one, again, all previous scenarios are wiped clean. Okay.
Goodbye.
Okay. All previous scenarios wiped clean. New scenario.
Please tell me Johnson's in on this one.
No.
Gosh, dang it.
You can be if you want.
All right, put me in. Wait, what happens?
He's eager.
All right. So then I guess I'm asking you this question, Johnson. Okay. So here, I'm going to set up the scenario, okay? I almost called him Johnson Brewer.
Well,
Wow.
The name should be Bronson.
Anyway, Josh here, how old are you again, Josh? You're 22?
22.
I'm 28.
No, you're 22.
Why you lying?
Okay. So in this scenario, Josh is a 22-year-old gay male married to his partner for a few
Y'all
years.
yell at me when I do it. Okay, so
I don't know what he's talking about.
he's married to a what?
His partner, so a man.
Oh, okay.
So he's been married for.
I thought for some reason I was expecting the word a mule. I don't know why. Married to a mule.
Bestiality, man.
Yeah,
That's another.
Yeah, that's not this. So those are not the same thing. Period. Anyway, he's been married to his husband for 3 years. So Josh has been married to his husband for 3 years. Okay. One Sunday he comes to your church. Okay. So
Hey.
he's from an unchurched background. Okay.
Yeah.
So Josh and his husband, unchurched background, he comes to your church. Whatever happened that Sunday, the message really got to him, and he started investigating scripture. He then decides, you know what? I need to be saved.
Uh-huh.
You're in this church, okay? And you have struck up a friendship with him. You're just friends with him.
Yeah.
He now tells you he's saved. What is your response? How do you react? And And he has a question for you about what he should do with his husband.
That is
good.
And I'm saying this as obviously all three of us are straight, so
Yeah.
our perspective is going to be cart. But how would you respond to this?
Man. Well, hey,
Let's assume even something. You're an elder in the church,
I'm an elder. Wow.
or a deacon for those that have deacons.
Well, I don't have kids and I don't have a family. To
You could be a single deacon. They asked me to be a deacon. I declined.
no,
Anyway,
I'm not sober minded. I'm just kidding.
no, that's true. Anywho, this happened. What is your response? How are you going to respond to this?
Excited, happy for him. Be like, congrats, sick,
Okay.
woo,
Now,
sick as in what?
like good.
Sick
That's
isn't good.
great.
Just clarifying.
But he's
Celebration.
asking,
But
what
now
should he do?
you have to make some tough decisions.
Yeah. Now, what should he do about his husband?
Bye bye.
But
Bye-bye.
we just bought a $250,000 home.
Oops.
We just planned a 3-week vacation to the Bahamas
Ooh.
and to Mexico and then Cuba this weekend.
Oh man, there's consequences. That's rough.
But why should I split my life, something that I've worked so hard for? Why should I?
'Cause, I mean, you get consequences. There's consequences.
Assuming they're faithful, monogamous,
Mm-hmm.
loving, committed husband units.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's
husband units.
I don't know if that's right phrasing. I don't know.
We've even looked at
Never heard.
adopting children.
Aw.
I'm just making this very hard for you.
I mean, not really.
Are you
Actually,
just gonna
you were throwing in all the stuff I was going to throw in. So
Oh, cool. So, what do I do? Why should I? What are the
would you-
consequences?
Well, do you want to follow Christ, or do you want to keep your own comforts and the things that make you happy?
both.
Okay, well then Christ will make you happy. You don't need this man in your life to make you happy.
So you're saying he should be doomed to a life of singleness?
That's what we were all saying earlier.
But why? Why should I?
You said it earlier.
I'm
I know you're
I'm
trying to
playing
be the
role.
triggering one.
I'm the triggering one.
You're trying to make me triggered.
No, I'm just putting stuff out there. I'm just curious as to how you
He's
respond.
he's actually role playing very well right now.
Said it.
He's
I'm getting a call.
He's role playing right now as the gay man. He's doing a well job, so I'm going to let him.
Thank you.
Must be some experience in this.
So you're telling me I need to be single for the rest of the life and I can never love someone again?
You can't not love. I would love you even though you're gay.
Then what is love?
God is love.
So,
Okay.
So you're telling him he has to go home every night to an empty house by himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he can't find an attraction in a woman, or well, if it's a woman, if she can't find attraction in a man, or vice versa, then yeah.
Okay.
You can have a
Here,
roommate,
hang on,
I
hang on.
guess.
I got something. He's gonna.
You could have a
So-
roommate, but
Well, I mean, I have a roommate. So let's say I sell this house. I break up with my husband. We don't get kids. Don't go on this nice long vacation we have planned.
he's saying stop.
As I say, what if his husband's his roommate?
I know, and see, that's where I was gonna get. I was like, shoot. Well, it depends on what you do with said roommate.
Okay, just making sure. Clarifying, because I'm
Yeah.
not going to let you walk through the easy ones.
So you're telling me to live a life for God, I need to not have any sexual relations with the only thing I've always found myself attracted to, which is men. I've never been attracted
Okay.
to a woman. So you're telling me, I can't look at pornography because pornography is wrong too, right?
Well, yeah.
So what am I supposed to do?
What do you mean? What are you supposed to do?
So I'm supposed to live
You
a life
find-
of loneliness to serve God.
Yeah, because he is your joy, your real, happiness kind of thing.
And this is where I'm going to cut out of the role playing. I actually had a conversation with a guy at work on this
Well,
topic.
man, no, I didn't get to continue what I was going to
continue.
say.
I'm sorry. Back to role playing. Really?
No, oh my gosh.
He
This is stupid.
he does
Paul.
that transition way too well. I hope whomever he gets engaged to at some point hears that about how well he transitions to that.
Maybe there's a reason I'm still a part of this.
I'm trying
Anyway,
to
go on.
see. I'm trying to see if you're going to say something.
Oh, well, because no, the other part I was going to add, let's say it was me and I have this interest in a girl and I just got married to some girl. Ooh, yay, huzzah. And she's not a Christian, but I become a Christian. She wants to have nothing to do with it. What do I do then?
Oh, that one's easy.
What?
Well, let me rephrase this to make sure I got this correct, okay? You got married to a girl.
Yeah.
Afterwards, you became a Christian,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
and she doesn't want anything to do with it.
Nope. You've done nothing wrong.
You stay married. You've done nothing wrong.
Do I?
Yes.
You can.
Oh.
Now, if she starts dragging you down the hole and pulls you away from your relationship with
So
God,
would you
then
say
that is something
divorce
you.
her?
Huh?
Would you say divorce her?
I'm going to say divorce. See,
Well, 'cause
marriage,
no,
marriage
yes.
is a covenant, right?
Yes,
And the idea is
it's-
to preserve it and prolong it as long as possible, unless one side makes it impossible to stay together.
Right. I say, is it what's it's cheating? And
I
if
wouldn't
was
even
it
say-
abuse.
That stuff you can actually come back from too.
Well, you can, but what if it never stops?
But it doesn't stop. After you've sought help, that is when I would definitely consider allowing anybody to get a divorce.
Because I
Because
thought if you
a
were
marriage-
being cheated on in a marriage, that was also a reason
That-
too.
I'm not
But you just said
100%.
no.
No, it can be. What I'm saying is you can come back from something like that. You can cheat on someone in a
Oh, yeah.
relationship and be able to recover from it.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are plenty of
Oh,
men who
absolutely.
have crossed that line because it's this thing of temptation, and they've
Yeah.
gone so far with the temptation without seeking help. But your scenario,
Yeah.
not picking on you, is a lot easier to deal with than my scenario. For example, if you did divorce your wife, you're still attracted to women, and God says there's nothing wrong with being attracted to a woman.
No.
So you
Well, if
therefore
you're a
could get,
man.
therefore you could get
It'd be
remarried.
easy to find some. Well, not
Yeah.
easy,
But
but
the biggest,
potentially.
I think the biggest thing is when it comes to homosexuality, people who deal with that, society in the past has outcasted them.
Yeah.
Church has outcasted them. Bisexual, transgender, anything that is not what we declare being normal,
Mhm.
the people have been outcasted.
And that's
And-
the last thing the church should be doing.
Exactly.
We are called to love people.
Now,
Yes.
where I'm going with this is how my mind sees it, and I'm talking to a guy at work who is very, I don't want to say left. He's not left wing. He's against a lot of what the church says just because he feels like the church is too constrictive on someone's life and their ability to live the way they want to. Now,
Okay.
I'm just giving a background on that guy quick. But the thing I see being the biggest struggle is telling somebody who's always found an interest in the same sex that in order to do the right thing, they can't be with anybody for the rest of their life. And for most people that go from a non-Christian home, their life has always been trying to find identity. Because what do we Christians do? We find our identity in Christ and the absolute truth. That is how we identify ourselves. And
Right.
for somebody who doesn't have that, they're trying to find identity in themselves in different ways, in the things around them. So to tell them that what they've been seeking for in their own identity, they need to get rid of, and to live this life without what they've grown up thinking they could always have, that is a very big and hard change for a lot of people.
Yeah, because they have to change what they find their identity in. Again, going back to the case of Josh being the gay guy who's married to his husband, he has to change his identity from that of a gay man to a Christian. Instead of finding his identity in the gay community, all that entails, and obviously I don't know everything in that because I don't spend time in there, to finding his identity in Christ. That's a huge switch.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we've had traditionally in the church those conversations properly, where we just, unfortunately, you see this because you see this. I've even seen this, okay? I've seen this where I'd be walking somewhere with some coworkers at a conference, and there's, the traditional guy on the corner preaching or whatever, and he's just yelling, all the gays going to hell, all this going to hell, and I'm embarrassed by that. The guy isn't talking anything about love, and he's a quote-unquote street preacher. Instead, what he's saying is everything that all these people identify, they're going to hell. Now, when you say something that you identify, your core belief, like let's say Aaron identifies musician.
Yeah.
If I say all musicians are evil druggies, I'm not attacking Aaron per se.
You're attacking the whole thing.
Well, not even that. I'm attacking how he identifies. I'm attacking where he finds his identity, his guidance, his truth, his friends, his belonging. I'm not just attacking him. And I think that's where we have failed in the church, is where we don't get to know people. We instead apply a label and then say, based on this label, this is how I'm going to treat you.
Whoa.
So, and I look at it, and that's, I think, where a lot of the problem comes from. So one of the guys that I was reading up on, I don't know if you guys have heard of him. His name is Christopher Yuan. Aaron's shaking his head yes. What?
Go on.
No. What? Okay. So
Christopher Yuan.
have you heard of him?
That name does sound familiar, but I don't know.
Josh, have you heard of Christopher Yuan?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. So let me give you a quick story about him. Okay. And then I'll tell you where this is going. Christopher Yuan, of Orientalist, East, Chinese or Japanese. I'm not exactly 100% sure. It's something from, the East. His parents and that immigrated over here to the U.S. He, as a young teen / young adult, identified as gay. Let me rephrase that. He identifies as gay. He still does. Okay. Or same-sex attraction, as he says it. Drug dealer, etc. When he was younger, got thrown in jail. Was given a Bible, started reading it, and came to Christ and started realizing, I need to change. He then, went and studied at Moody. Now teaches at Moody, actually. But yet he freely admits that he is still attracted to guys, and yet Moody still allowed him on the staff because he doesn't act on it. Okay,
Right.
so he wrote a book recently, but one of the things that caught my eye, one of his little quotes, is he doesn't call people to, especially when he gives his lectures in class, because he lectures about how the church should interact with gay people all the time. But he doesn't call people to say, you should be straight, or you should be this, or you should be that. He says, no, what you should be is you should be wholly sexual. And not holy like WHOLY, holy as in HOLY, like holy, set apart. And he says holy sexuality consists of two paths: chastity and singleness, and faithfulness in marriage, marriage being defined as between a man and a woman.
I did read that.
So, he is a guy who is living that out, even though it is hard for him. But he does bring up a very good point. A lot of churches these days are very geared towards couples and not singles.
Really?
Well, think about it.
I don't want to.
Okay. A lot of, there's, the couples retreats, the couples this, the couples that, whatever. There's
I
not
guess
a lot
going
of
here, I don't hear much about anything like that.
well, yeah, here, but a lot of churches,
I've heard it.
and there's a lot of activities for the couples,
Yeah.
but not a lot of singles. And it's almost in some churches where it's kind of like looked down upon if you're single, you know. And so we're asking these people who maybe want to be holy, who want to live and follow after Christ, who want to do this, but we're saying you now must be single for the rest of your life, and yet our churches aren't always geared up to help single people. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Because we're saying you should do this, but we're not going to offer you support.
Right. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Say there's single events on Saturday nights at this church up yonder, more north that my mother mentions to me.
But even those events are meant to pair you off and get you married.
They're not necessarily meant to just.
No, it's not just to hang out with single people. It's like, oh, hey, mix and match. Hey,
it's not to minister to those single people. You know, we're all human, yes, but what I go through is a lot different than what a married person goes through. I go home to me and my dog.
Woof woof.
You know,
Good old Porthos.
yeah. You know, married people go home, you know, to their spouse, and they have that built-in support system right at home, typically. Okay, I'm talking about a healthy marriage. I have my dog.
Doggo.
Okay, there is a reason there is a lot of depression in that in single people.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think, especially on social media, you see that there's a lot of people complaining that the church doesn't support singles. And that's a whole other problem. But that wasn't the whole point of this conversation today. But you know, that was a piece of it that we had.
That's
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I mean, I've heard of some singles. You know, there's young couples churches in Milwaukee. There's single churches, but like you said, they're all geared to allow you to find someone within the body of the church to live your life with. And some people, their plan isn't to get married, and there's not enough support. So I 100% agree. But at the same time, society, the media, I think, is a real big piece of poison. And by that I mean is it pulls things up from the past, it projects things out continuously. So the church isn't doing a good enough support, but then the media is pushing these ideals even farther down. And like I was saying before, people are way more than their sexuality. Your sexuality does not define you. Even if you're not Christian and you're just listening to the podcast, your sexuality does not define you. There's way more out there that you will find interest in that can help, show what kind of person you are. But yet society says your sexuality is your identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I've worked with guys who are gay. I've worked with guys who are dating guys, and what usually comes out of their mouth revolves around their sexuality.
Yep.
Not much else. And it's sad to see that it's like, this culture, the American culture has, not only caused women to feel like they have to look a certain way, but it's caused everybody in general to feel like they have to identify a certain way. And if you don't agree, even in the slightest bit, you are the one that needs to be outcast. So there's a whole lot of change that needs to happen, not only in the church, but in society as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. It really is. And I think until we get to that point where people don't necessarily identify by their sexuality, instead identify by other things, the things that they see as core to their beliefs. When they start seeing that, when people stop identifying their sexuality as their core identity, what do they then replace that with? That becomes the big thing. For Christians, okay, that's easy. But for the non-Christian, what is that? what do they replace that? Maybe it's a musician because maybe they're very highly involved in music, or nerd culture or whatever. But I mean, you have being defined by your sexuality isn't necessarily the whole thing.
No. And I think one of the other issues is, necessarily not issue, it just seems to be something that's a common trait with millennials is more millennials are not settling down. They're going places, they're traveling, they're not buying expensive houses. They want to do experiences. So just branching off, I think too much of the time people are finding themselves being stuck to one thing, and therefore they're identifying with one thing. I don't think there's enough versatility in which people expose themselves to see what else they might like out there, or other things that they might choose to identify with. So motorcycles, the toy industry, the big toys, in a sense, have just been taking hits over the years because younger people are not, buying anything. Nobody's getting into fishing and I mean, there are people getting into all sorts of stuff, but not like it used to be. Kids aren't buying ATVs and motorcycles, or boats or campers and stuff. So somebody might really like camping, but they live in a city. So they've never really been exposed to the idea of camping. So you have these things. Yeah, it just comes down to a lack of versatility in people's exposure to create different interests.
Okay.
I think. What about you, Aaron?
Got nothing.
You're quiet. I'm kidding.
Okay. All right. So I have a couple more. These are short questions. These are simple yes, no. Don't need exposition questions.
All right.
These are kind of like, what would you do type questions.
Okay.
Okay. So before I get into that, assume we're going to make an assumption again. I'm gay again, according to this assumption. This is a hypothetical. This is not reality. Hypothetical. Okay. I'm going to ask you both this. I'm going to ask a question. I want both of you to answer yes, no. Okay. Fair enough?
Maybe.
It's no maybes. No maybes. Okay. And for this scenario, assume I'm not Christian.
Okay.
Okay. So scenario one, I pull out a piece of paper. I give it to you both. I'd like you both to come to my wedding next week.
Ah, yes. I've been asked that question before. Why do you gotta say that? I've been asked that question before, and I have responded. Now, I haven't been asked directly by someone who is homosexual to be or same-sex attracted to go to their wedding, but I've had somebody ask me, well, what happens when they ask you?
Yeah.
If they do. And I have said I would have to kindly say no.
Okay. Aaron?
See, I've always been on the side of saying no. And my question I've never asked.
Okay, ask it.
Is by going to it, does that mean you support it?
Oh, don't get ahead of me.
Dang it! Why are we getting into these questions?
And for those who are listening, it's when I say no, it's not like I say it with ease. Marriage is a happy thing. It really is. So when I say no, it's like kind of aching inside to say no, but it is something that I should say no to. Yeah. Unfortunately.
We're going to circle back to all these in just a moment, okay?
All right.
So you can do more expose on all of them, okay? Okay, so that was the first one.
All right, round two.
Yeah, round two.
He's had plenty of time to prep this day.
Yes, I have. Well, it doesn't hurt that I have family members that are gay.
That's true.
So it's not like this is my first rodeo with these questions and thoughts and things as well. So round two, I call. Obviously, I can't call you both at once. I call each of you individually. Okay, I call you.
You could do a group call.
Well, no. So I'm good friends with whichever one I'm calling. Okay. So again, so when I'm talking to you, Aaron, I'm good friends with you. I'm talking to Josh. I'm good friends with Josh. I call you and I say, I think the guy was with might have given me an STD. Will you come with me to the clinic?
Oh,
to get tested. I'm scared. Aaron.
I mean, I guess I personally don't see anything wrong with that. So I guess I would go.
Okay. Josh?
Yeah, I agree. I would go too.
Okay.
At that point, you're just looking for somebody to be there with you to make you feel comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there's a twist. Continue.
No, there's no twist.
Oh, okay.
There's
cool.
no twist.
That's my answer.
If there was a twist, I would have already revealed the twist. There's no twist. In some of these scenarios I'm asking, like the STD one,
yeah.
I've had to deal with
really?
someone before. So that.
So then you would go.
Yes, I did.
Since you said you had, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Next one.
Next one. This is the one that's been in the news a lot. You are bakers.
Oh, this one.
Will
I
you
walk.
make a
I walk
cake?
into your shop. Maybe I'm a little flamboyant. I walk into your shop, ask you to make me a cake for my wedding.
Okay, I guess
I mean, if you just say, "Hey, make me a cake for my wedding," I'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And say,
I wouldn't make.
I want you to make it for me and my husband Richard.
Okay, maybe not.
2 groomsmen on the top.
You can find many other cake places that probably would make you.
And
one.
again, this is where I would have to say, no,
Okay.
Same.
in a loving way.
Okay.
And people might be like, "Well, what do you mean in a loving way? You say no, you're yeah." We'll talk about that later.
We're gonna circle
He
back.
said we're gonna come back to it.
Yeah, we're gonna come back. Don't worry. Okay. Last one. Are you ready?
Yep.
Because these are simple. Well, I shouldn't say these are simple, but they are.
It's straight up yes or no.
Yeah, straight up yes or no. Okay.
With a pause, straight up yes. or no.
Okay. And we have to change the assumption a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay. The assumption. Here's the assumption. We're friends.
Uh-huh.
You don't know I'm gay. Okay. You invite me over to your place for a little shindig. And I come and say, I'd like you to meet my boyfriend, Richard, when I come to your place. And the only other people at your place are maybe your church friends.
Now, I guess the question is, are you a Christian or no?
Let's assume no. And you invited me over. Let's assume for...
Would I let you in? Is that the question?
Do you let me in and do you treat me are you courteous or how do you react?
I'm going to, "Hey, Rich, nice to meet you. Come on in."
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay. Let's change the scenario a little bit.
you,
I am Christian. We go to the same church. And this happens.
I would.
I would do the same thing, but you'd be getting a call from me a day or two later, or 3. I wouldn't sit there and single you out in front of everybody and this guy, because there are proper ways to address things. I mean, even if it's a heterosexual relationship, there are proper ways to address things, and it's
Well,
not fair to
Just any situation. in
yeah
general.
put somebody on the spot. So I definitely welcome you guys in. And now, granted, how everybody else would react, I mean, I'd probably be a little
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it.
surprised.
I'm not, because I don't know them. I know you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just know me, you know nobody else.
Right.
I would be a little surprised at first and be like, "Oh, this guy, we just talked about this like 3 weeks ago at church." So, but I know I would
Okay.
welcome you in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then okay. So, and Josh, or no, you got ahead of me, not Josh. For once, you got ahead of me.
Good job.
Okay. Does accepting something like, let's say, the wedding thing, right? Or attending that, does that necessarily mean
You're
you
showing
endorsing it?
Are you asking him first? Or are you just asking in general? Okay. I'd say, considering that weddings usually involve a bringing of a present and acknowledging it's a gift, you're giving a gift to the newly wedded couple. That is a way of showing that you are
for them and
for them. Now, attending the wedding at the same time too does also show that you are there to have fun on someone's new life experience that is going to go on for the rest of their life.
Okay.
Like I said before, I don't want to say no, but it is something I should say no on, because at that point in time, how my mind sees it is, if you're ready to spend a life with somebody, it's hard to say. It's like, you got thoughts going, maybe you can help stir my thoughts up.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, I would have to respectfully say no because it goes against what I believe as a Christian. But and I was just thinking, it's like, can you? I don't know. I would be worried of like the backlash you could get from the people. Like, really, you're not going to become because you don't believe in this. Like, do you even like me as a friend? Duh, like, it could bring up all these
Yeah, there's always
crazy,
that.
wild things. But then I guess my thought would be, I mean, you could. Well, I guess it comes down to still being able to respect each other as a person and still being able to have a just normal like love for one another and friendship kind of thing.
Okay, so
Because it's like I could invite them to church or some church event, and if they're like, well, no, I don't believe that or support some of the things, it's like, well, okay.
oh,
And
okay,
I-
so let me jump into the conversation a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay. So in this scenario, we're assuming they're not Christian, they're getting married. Okay. Gay wedding, whatever. So if I'm reading the tea leaves right here,
Tea leaves.
I have never heard of that one
No.
before.
what I'm
Continue.
reading is that by going there, you're endorsing it.
I think I know where he's going with it.
No. I'm just asking yes, no. As a Christian, going to a non-Christian gay wedding, just by being
Non-wedding-
attending there, is that saying I endorse it?
I think that is a way. I would say yes. Now, if you're gonna spin it, okay, I'm just gonna quick throw this in. If you're gonna spin it,
He's
and say,
ready for you to turn it around.
if you're gonna spin it and say, well, welcoming someone in your house who is a Christian, non-Christian, and acknowledges they have a boyfriend, is that endorsing it as well? It's the response is how I'm seeing it. I can't go to a wedding and sit there and say, does anybody have checked?
I was gonna say, yeah.
I can't. I'm not gonna do.
Speak now or
I'm-
forever hold your peace.
I'm not gonna do that. And that's where it's easier to, because if you come to my house and you say, hey, this is my boyfriend, and I've never met him before.
Right.
That's where I'm just gonna be like, okay, well, it's not like a wedding, it's like settling a wedding's outside this room and we're a part of it. That's kind of what that scenario is. But it's a different spot. Because you're still, I would say, a good amount of time to help bring to light at that stage, especially if you're a Christian. Now, if you're a non-Christian, I'm going to still talk to you the way I talk to you,
Okay.
or a Christian, there's no difference the way I'm going to talk to you.
So let me. Okay. So wedding. Okay.
Okay.
Now let me spin it a little bit, and no, I'm not going to spin it with the house thing.
Okay. All right, spin it.
Spin it this way. I give you invitations there to the address is the courthouse for a nice little civil ceremony instead of a big old wedding. What say you?
So instead of having a big fancy wedding,
You
all
just
they need is two witnesses to.
It's a little
be there to.
It's a little civil ceremony with a judge, a government official, and I ask you to be one of the two.
I mean, it would still be the same thing for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
same
it's-
thing
it's
for
still-
me.
Okay.
And I like. It would hurt to say no
Yeah, it would.
because I would, like people, but at the same time, where we stand and where we believe, you gotta hold
Okay.
firm.
Well, no, that's fine. I ask all these questions, and in a minute, I'm going to give all my answers as well. So,
Oh, great.
Oh boy.
so anything else on the endorsement question?
Nah, man, nah.
No? Okay. So I guess here's where I give my answers to these questions then. I wrote them down so I remembered them all.
Okay.
Oh.
So on the wedding thing, if it was a wedding, like they were saying, we're going to hold this at a church and it's going to be a quote unquote religious wedding, I would have to respectfully decline.
A religious
Like,
wedding?
like a pastor or something like that's going to marry them, not So they're saying they're going to have a wedding. It's going to be at a church and they're going to have pastor so-and-so marry them.
So you're saying if they're doing it in the eyes of the Lord,
Right. Then I will have to respectfully decline.
I didn't know there was another one.
I said the other one.
Well,
Civil ceremony.
but
I guess we didn't realize that you were saying in a church.
Well, when I think about wedding, that's going to be
yeah,
that religious. That's why I
Yeah.
said wedding, because most people, when they think wedding, they're thinking it's in a church.
I guess I've
And
never,
that's why I said
Wow.
wedding, civil
Cool.
ceremony.
Ah.
Okay.
because then you have the civil ceremony where it's so
Right.
when I think of wedding, okay, in a church and that, and then typically they're going to find a denomination that agrees with same-sex marriages, right?
Yeah.
That's where I have to respectfully decline. Doesn't mean I don't love them any less. However, this is maybe where I differ a little bit. Civil ceremony, I believe the government has the right to say, in this land, we will allow this. And if they choose to get married in a civil ceremony type way, I would probably attend.
No, I guess on the flip side, what if it's a Christian and they say we're going to get married, but it's in a civil setting?
Well,
If it is a Christian,
Not getting wedded in a church.
yep, not in a church, at that point, there's two things that cross my mind. Okay? One, it is not my job to change someone else's sexual orientation. Okay?
I agree.
That's between them and God. Two, it's not my job to judge someone. I guess three things cross my mind. Three, it's my job to love. If it was a Christian, you're married in a church, gay wedding,
Maybe you know.
I would have to respectfully decline.
Okay.
If it was a civil ceremony, that's not so much now a thing between God, the church, and the people getting married. It's now a government institution only at that point.
Yeah.
I would probably still go. And the reason is I believe in marriage. I believe one man, one woman. Okay. And I believe that should be done as the Bible says it should be done, as how it's stated. And for Christians be married, and that it is a commitment to one another in front of family, friends, the church. You're making that commitment in front of everyone. I also believe at the same time that for those who don't agree with that methodology, let's say that line of thinking, who are gay and don't, or whatever, and don't agree with that line of thinking. And at that point, that's not for me to force my beliefs on them. Okay. I have a relationship with them. Let's say, Josh, you were gay and getting married in a civil ceremony. I have a long-standing friendship with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wanting to go and get it done in the church because you guys don't want to be all flashy and all that and try to be controversial. You just want to say, I want to have the same rights as you do married, but to my husband. And the government says that they are willing to support that. While I may morally disagree with that, that's not causing the death, the harm, the destruction of anyone. So while I morally disagree with it through a Christian worldview, government has the authority, and I'll say I would attend.
Now, you've actually kind of changed my opinion a little. I will say that. But what to this person, civil ceremony, they got married. Now these people moved into a house. Now we're jumping to the situation that we presented to Aaron before. Are you going to try to bring him to church?
Yes, the entire time.
But what if he says, well, the Bible says I can't be married to a man, yet you attended my wedding and you acknowledged that you were okay with me marrying a man by attending my wedding, and now you're telling me I need to be divorced? How do you go about something like that? So I guess it's just one of those lines in my head where it's like
it comes down to me going, does that endorse it?
Yeah.
I'm not endorsing it. I am not endorsing that relationship necessarily. Instead, again, we're saying it's you, right? Here,
yeah.
So it's you. Instead, I know this is something important to you. I want to maintain that relationship with you beyond that day.
Uh-huh.
So I choose to go. I choose to not necessarily endorse your marriage by attending. Just because I'm attending doesn't mean endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say, you know what? You need support during this day. I'll go.
And I see where you're coming from,
Uh-huh.
and it makes sense. And if it was a long-standing friend, I would probably say, sure, I'll go. But just so you know, through my beliefs,
Well, I hope you would know that that's where I stood.
But now, yes. But at the same time, where I can see it being an issue is if you try to bring them into the church and they go, well, you supported me on this day. And
Right.
and there is, I know you saying from a Christian view and from our side of the view, we're not saying that we're endorsing it, but on the receiving end, could they be seeing it as support? And if they're seeing it as support, that could also
Again,
bring
it's not my job to change their sexuality and their identity.
No, it's not.
The hope is that when they come to church, they start reading the Bible. It's something grabs them, whatever that might be, a sermon, whatever. And that is then them. You know, it's not me saying, come to church, divorce your husband. It's me saying, come to church, find God, and let Jesus transform you. And then let that happen then. Because if done, this sounds horrible saying it this way, but if done right, you know, if they come to the church and they change their identity because they find God, all of a sudden, hopefully, the hope is their identity is no longer that they are gay, but that their identity is in Christ. And now that their identity is in Christ and they're trying to follow Christ, they might not see this. Will there be emotional hurt through that process? Let's say they get divorced or whatever.
Probably.
Oh, yeah, there will be. They are attached to that person. They have, you know, it's the same thing that like if a good friend dies, moves, and you can no longer communicate with them, there's going to be that pain there. No one's minimizing that. It's going to be a difficult time because this thing that they sought all their identity in, this person that they loved, all of a sudden you can't have that relationship.
Yeah. I guess I agree with you, but at the same time, I can definitely see it being one of those.
It's not perfect. It's not perfect.
It's not a situation that you can kind of perfectly plan out and perfectly predict because not everybody is going to believe in what we believe in. That is just straight up, you know.
I know.
It's one of those. But I do agree with the point where if they say they're going to get married in a church and if they're Christian, non-Christian, because our allegiance is in the absolute truth of the Lord, I would have to decline in a church. Yes. But you have spurred the thought of saying yes to being outside of a church. Because it does not only show that me as a person, I might have differences. I'm willing to set my differences aside, but it also shows that being a Christian, you also are willing to love someone before, it says love the sinner, hate the sin.
Well, and I also come on to it this way, because earlier conversations, one of you two brought this up off my head. I can't remember who, but it came up of what if they are an adulterer? What if they are watching a ton of porn? Okay, let's change the scenario. I sleep around and I invite you to my wedding at the church. A lot of people would probably still go. I see Aaron shaking his head no.
Aaron's in really deep thoughts, so I'm expecting a whole lot of stuff. No?
Well, I was just thinking for me, like if I were to ask if I were to have a civil, whatever the ceremony thing.
Yeah, civil ceremony. And they're legally married, but they didn't get married in the church.
I'd rather have you tell me no than go with.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Well, I guess it would save all the pain that you could go through later on after that you've already finalized everything. For me personally, I'd rather have had you say, no, I won't go do this. I mean, because if that stopped me from sealing the deal, then it could have never happened. If I still continued to go to church and eventually found God, I'd rather have that happen and then not have to go through all the other stuff you would have had to had you had someone there to make it official for you. But the other thing is, how many people would be able to find somebody else to go help them finish it anyways?
Well, maybe they don't even want you to be there as a witness. Maybe they just want you to attend because you're a lifelong friend.
And that makes sense. But then I guess I would, if it were that important for me to have you go there, I would rather you just say, mm-mm.
Okay.
I'd be like, oh. I mean,
no, that's fine.
That would, I mean, obviously, I'm not in that moment, so I can't really like speak for him and be like, well, I know how I'd feel. Because there would definitely be some hurt emotions there. And
yeah.
But I think in the long run, thinking of it, I would rather have that happen than you'd be like, yeah, I'll come do this for you. But then if this other stuff happens later on, then I'd be like, "Ugh, I wish that never happened."
All right. Yeah.
So that's just for me personally.
Okay. So let me answer the other ones real quick because we're getting kind of long here on this one. Maybe we'll revisit at some point in the future.
Right. This was a lot different than I expected it to be.
I like it. It's good talk. It's good talk.
STDs, yes. Cake, yes, I would bake it.
Oh,
you would?
the cake.
Yeah, because
Okay.
again, me making the cake isn't necessarily endorsement. I understand some people would not want to bake the cake,
Right.
but at the same time, me baking a cake does not say I support and endorse the wedding.
I guess you're just doing your job. but-
Right.
You're doing a job. Yes.
But I wouldn't be upset with the people that decline.
No, I think that's fine. If your conviction is such that you want to decline, then decline.
Right.
I'm just saying my conviction is such that I can do that. I mean, let's be honest. If I follow that conviction all the way through, I would not be able to work for 90% of the employers out there. Because do I agree with 100% what my work is going towards for a lot of these big companies?
Oh, I guess I would have no idea.
You know, again, I have to put the disclaimer out because I'm going to talk about my work here. My work, Advocate Aurora Healthcare, does not endorse anything that I say on this podcast. But if I live by that mantra where I wouldn't bake the cake, okay?
Then you shouldn't do a lot of stuff that you currently do. With
No,
your job.
because those servers are then going to provide healthcare for various things that I may or may not disagree with.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
I was
if I have to agree 100% with what I am making is
Right.
used for,
then yeah,
I may as well start my own company or go work for very certain companies.
I never thought about it that way.
So that's why, as I said, I would be willing to. Now, in this case, the baker, they're kind of in that position where they own their company, so they can kind of say, but
Yes
that's
or no.
why I'm coming out and say, yeah, I would make the cake. Party, yeah, you can come in, but like Josh said, maybe we talk a little bit later on in private. But
I suppose, yeah.
okay, so like I said, yeah, I wanted to just get through my answers real quick because we've gone a little bit longer than I was anticipating, which is good.
Right?
That's fine. Johnson, anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
I got nothing.
Josh?
No, I got nothing, but definitely if you guys have any more questions about this topic
Or comments?
or comments, message us.
Or if you disagree with us?
Yeah, disagree, that's fine too. We are definitely open. I'm not on Facebook, but I definitely know that guys like to keep comments and stuff up there as long as they're appropriate for all eyes and ears for everybody to see and hear. So we just ask for you guys to keep everything respectful. And yes, will people get heated up in conversations? Oh yes, but this is a place where we can use our words and talk about things, and we'd like to bring in some of the things that you guys have difference of opinions on, and we can kind of talk it out. And maybe there's something we didn't explain too well on, and you guys would like more clarity on that. Definitely leave us that question. Or
I have a feeling we'll be coming back just at some point.
and I'm cool with that. I mean, I like having conversations like this. It
So.
definitely allows me to see other people's sides of the
Spectrum.
yeah. So otherwise, I got nothing else.
All right. As far as what I got is just to shill us again. We're on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts. I just got us on Castbox, another platform. So we're kind of all over.
Patreon.
Well, no. I set that up
Yeah.
because if you're listening to this and you are planning on doing something with Patreon in the future ever, be aware that Patreon is making some changes soon. So if you create an account now and have it go live, even if you don't use it, do that, because then you'll pay less in fees, way less.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, actually, the new fee structure. So just if you're out there and you're thinking about that, do that. We haven't launched anything with Patreon yet. That's going to take time and other things. That being said, the podcast I was on last week, the Convoluted Podcast, that should be released. He said he's thinking the 29th, so about 5 days here. So as soon as he tells me that it's released, I'll put something out that it is released as well. Yay. So it might actually be like the day after this goes live that goes live. And then we'll be up at camp next week, so we're going to pre-record an episode for while we're up at camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some fun things there. I got a nice little story there about Aaron destroying the world.
Oh my gosh.
Man.
This was a wonderful, fun dream that I had.
Are we just going to talk about dreams in the next one?
Well, we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about some camp stories.
Okay. Because I'm in a dreamy mood.
Well, you are dreamy, sir. Anyway.
Let's be real, though, Paul.
He is dreamy.
He's fabulous.
Wow.
Oh,
Yes,
Way to be
queen.
stereotypical there, Josh. Okay.
Yes, queen.
So leave us a review on iTunes because that really helps. And
Thanks to the one person that did give us a
Yes, thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
you know
Yes,
what?
hey, a review's a review.
Review's a review, and we'll take some more if you care to.
And
Yes.
I was going to say, just like the person who left us a review on iTunes,
Yeah.
we are going to be putting that in the schedule because that is a good topic idea.
Yeah.
So if you guys
yeah.
have more topic ideas, we will pluck them from the reviews and the comments and the emails and stuff. Because we want to talk about things you guys want to listen to.
Feed
You know,
the machine.
Yeah, there was someone who
Yes.
commented on YouTube recently. It was over the first episode, the just the general episode.
Oh, I
No,
didn't
the
even
second episode.
I
Sorry.
don't think about looking at YouTube stuff.
Well, I know. Anyway, it's because he commented about the first Aaron's word of the week.
oh no.
And his comment was like, "None of you must play Final Fantasy." And I was like, "No, I do. I know where that's from, but it's obviously that Mr. Johnson there doesn't." Because what was the
Nice.
first word?
Oh, is the wait, don't no. Stop. Is the demon
Yeah.
or genie Afreet?
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, because in Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
one of the summons is Ifrit, which can also be said Afreet.
Ifrit.
Yeah. It's a fire. It's like a fire demon.
That's pretty sick.
So anyway, yeah, reviews really do help if any of you want to leave us a review on iTunes. Other than that, I think we're going to call for this episode.
Yep.
And if you do have anything where you disagree with something we said, let us know. Be respectful. That's all we ask. But disagree. Feel free. That's the whole point. I think I kind of spurred Brewer's brain there a little bit at the
Yeah,
end.
just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah.
By actually disagreeing with him a little bit. I don't think he was actually expecting that.
I
was kind of,
was intrigued.
but I wasn't sure what was going to happen.
Okay.
I was intrigued with your response, and it was it's a well thought out, well structured response too. So
All right. Well, you know what? Everyone else out there, have a good week. You guys, we'll have a good little break, and then we'll talk in a few minutes.
We'll be back
All right.
again.
Bye.
we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.